To eating at April's. And I realized today that there's something that I make quite a lot that I've never made for you, and that's my banana bread. Now, this year I have found a way to change my recipe over to make banana oatmeal walnut bread. And the only thing that I do different is I use half quick cooked oats and half flour that it calls for, and then I just throw in some walnuts. So I'm going to read the recipe to you first. I don't know where we got this. We got this online. I don't know who to attribute it to, but I used 3 to 4 mashed bananas, depending on the size, a third a cup of melted butter, but I just use oil, 1 cup sugar, and you can use a little less if you want to. You can even use 3/4 cup instead of a cup, a beaten egg, a teaspoon baking soda, a pinch of salt, 1.5 cups all-purpose flour. So we're going to use 3 cups flour, 3/4 cups flour, and 3/4 cups quick cook oats, and then a teaspoon of vanilla. So the other thing that I've done is pull a few things out. I'm going to go ahead and do everything from start to finish. I think I've got something on my shirt. Oh, well. I'm going to do everything from start to finish with you guys so that you see how quick this is. So preheat the oven to 350. Okay. And I like to use, if the bananas are this size, you're going to use 3. If they're this size, you're going to use 4. You can use beat up bananas if you want to, but you don't have to use them entirely beat up. Some people use bananas that are completely black. And to me, by the time they're that dark, they're not edible. So the first thing I'm going to do is rinse off my utensils that I'm using. And we're going to get started. I use butter to grease my pan. Now, if you're using a bread pan, you're just going to use a full-size bread pan or 2 mini loaves. I use an 8 or 9 inch cake pan for this because it doesn't take as long to bake. That's the way that I like to do it. Okay, so and you can grease however you choose. Some people like to use the pan spray. I don't like to use that. I like to use butter myself. So I'm just greasing this up. We're about 2 minutes in now. If you are baking this in a full-size loaf pan, it's going to take you between 50 minutes and an hour to bake it. And this cake pan takes about 40-45 minutes. And the mini loaves I've never used, so I don't know how long those take. But I just test with a toothpick until it comes out. And I'm very generous with my greasing. I do not want my bread to stick. You can put parchment paper in the bottom if you would like to, but that is not entirely necessary. Okay, that's good. This is out of the way now. This is out of the way. All right. Just to make it easier on myself, the first thing I do is mash the bananas. Yeah, that's good and right. I'm gonna use plenty of these. Now, I used to have a really good potato masher that got old and rusty, so I threw it out. So today I'm just using a fork. We're going to fork it. Okay, there's some bruising on this, so I'm not going to use the bruised part. That's why I went ahead and pulled out extra bananas just in case. I do not like to use bruised bananas. Yuck. The more bruised the banana is, the higher the sugar content, which a lot of people like for their breads, but to me, that's just downright gross. So this is how much banana I'm using. And mashing the banana really takes longer than anything else. Well, clean up. Some people will stir this with a wooden spoon, but I use my good old-fashioned blender. Mash it up real good. I like to have my batter perfectly smooth before I put it into bake. It just tastes better. Dough. Now, some people will say when you bake a bread, the order of things that go in matter. For this particular recipe, it really doesn't matter. Ready? Okay. 3/4 cup quick cook oats. That's that. 3/4 cup flour. And again, I'm using gluten-free flour. If you don't have to eat gluten-free, I understand. You can use your regular flour if you want. The reason that I tried this is that I really like oatmeal and I wanted to find a way to cut back on my flour use because during the pandemic, there's been shortages of this particular brand of flour that we use. And this helped me to cut my flour use for this in half. There's a time I was eating a loaf a week. Okay, next, 1 cup sugar. I suppose you could use brown sugar if you wanted to. Let me know how that works out. I have never used that, so I really can't say, but brown sugar makes a lovely flavor. And I'm going to do this slightly scant because I feel like it. Bananas are plenty sweet enough. Mostly you want the sugar in there for the texture. You don't need the sugar to make your banana bread sweet. Now, oil. I was thinking about making a hummingbird cake today, but I wasn't in the mood for the pineapple with the bananas. It makes for a great combination then. Now, when I'm measuring, I just use the tablespoon measure and I use about 5.5 tablespoons. Sometimes I use 6 if I feel like it. That makes for 2, 3, 4, 5. How about the hell? I'll use 6. The thing about this is you just bake it until it's done. Banana bread, bananas are different sizes anyways. So if you think about it that way, it's not going to be the exact time every time you make the bread. Okay, baking soda. Egg. Okay, so we're going to do a teaspoon each of vanilla and baking soda. Okay. I was reading about people saying that their baking soda got old. I've had this in my fridge for like 8 months. How old is your baking soda if you let it get so old that it won't rise anymore? That sounds repulsive. Okay. Oh, pinch of salt. That's about a pinch. Now we've got to measure the walnuts. I put in 1/2 cup. You don't have to use the walnuts if you don't want to, but I really do like the walnuts, and I get these lovely things pre-chopped at Aldi. Love them. A bit more. You don't have to put them in the mix. You can just sprinkle those on top if you want to and just put however much you want in there. One egg. One whole egg. Now, let me double check and make sure I've got everything in there. I've got the bananas, I've got the oil, I've got the sugar, I've got the egg, I've got the baking soda, I've got the salt. Of course, I put in the flour and the oatmeal, the walnuts, and I put in vanilla. Now, it's time to mix. We're just a little over 10 minutes in, and that's starting. From that is, I mean, I've made this so many times, I've practically got this memorized, but this is just such an easy thing to bake. And if you want to make a full dessert out of this, you can just put some whipped cream or powdered sugar dusted over it, or strawberry jam and butter. That is really good. Okay, ready? Beat this up really good. Take your time with this. Some things they say don't mix it or just do it until it's incorporated. You can mix the hell out of this. It doesn't matter. It's very forgiving. Doesn't matter. The smoother you can get it, better it's going to taste. Bam. Go. And then I like to give it a little stir with this too, just to double check myself. We're good. And this makes for a very runny batter. See that? It looks like porridge. This is basically an oatmeal bread. If you're trying to incorporate more oatmeal into your diet or cut down on your flour consumption, this is a really good way to do it. I'm sure there's plenty of other things that you can throw in there. I wonder what strawberries would taste like in this, or kiwis. But this bread is so good, it really doesn't need anything else. For some reason, adding in the oatmeal and walnuts makes this sweeter, even though I go scant on the sugar sometimes. Okay, so you're filling up your pan about like this. I'm just going to pop it in the oven. That's it. So we're 12 minutes and 39 seconds in, and from start to finish, that's how long it took. Cleanup is going to take longer, but who cares? You can do the cleanup while you're going, oh, this smells so good. Oh, it smells so yummy. And again, you can make this with all flour and no oatmeal, and you can omit the walnuts, or you can put in any other kind of nut you want. You can put in chopped pecans, for example. That's lovely. So I'm going to bake this for about 45 minutes. I never time it. I've baked it so long, I just sniff for it. I do the sniff test and then check it with the Q-tip. Did I say a Q-tip? I check it with the toothpick, insert it in the center. It's got to be completely dry, but you don't want to dry out this, so really pay attention. And I freeze mine. I cut mine into 8 individual slices, and I freeze it immediately and just take out a piece at a time. This is something that makes for a great gift for people. You can cool it on the counter for about 30 minutes to an hour, and then put it on a paper plate and put it in an oversized Ziploc bag and pop it in the freezer and take it out up to a week or 2 later and give the whole thing to somebody as a gift. This is just something that is a staple in our house. And I try very hard not to eat too much of it, because I'm going to weigh 5,000 pounds if I eat as much as I want. But that is my banana oatmeal walnut bread. And this has been Eating at April's at Casa Pastovich. I'll see you next time.